All right, everybody, what is going on? Needs more drums back in Stay Movingsburg for the next installment of our public transit series. Now that we are done with the ferry routes for now, which I got some fun updates about in just a moment. But first, this is your friendly reminder to hit that subscribe button if you want to follow along with the series, or if you like the channel and seen any of my other videos, I would greatly appreciate you doing so. We are getting slowly but surely closer to 1,000 subs, which is going to be a pretty fun milestone, and I'm really looking forward to it. But thank you all for your comments in the past couple videos, and everybody else for the likes and the support, and also like this video if you have made it this far. But let's jump in to the city, which actually looks pretty good. I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of happy with, I shouldn't say kind of happy, I'm really happy with how it's turning out for being something that I haven't really put a ton of detail effort in. I think, from a bird's eye view, that is not too shabby at all. So yeah, this has been a really fun project, and I'm looking forward to seeing what else we're gonna do with it. But just as always, a few updates from the last episode. So update number one is this island here, and I really liked how it turned out, except for one thing. There was a comment that said, hey, why don't you try to put the service point off of the island back on the mainland and just kind of make a sort of like a trick the game into thinking that like there's a pedestrian area that is also on this island but also on the mainland. And I did that. It works as is to be expected. So yeah, I moved the service point here and added some of these little parks, and I'll get to that in a minute too. I got a couple little updates that I want to share with you guys before we actually get into the build today. But yeah, so we got the little service point here, and it does service this whole pedestrian area, and so we haven't had any issues with that. However, we did have some issues with the industry on here. I had a little bit of industry on this part of the island, and they weren't getting raw materials, which is to be expected since I don't have a cargo port and there's no truck access. So I actually just deleted all the industry and changed it to office and commercial zones down here by this port area. So that should hopefully fix that problem. And actually, there's still an industrial building right here that I should probably get rid of because it'll also have that same problem. Okay, and then these guys, we'll see if they become abandoned or not. These little, what I'm trying to use as a power transformer station, but we'll see about that. And then I do, unfortunately, I think I have to keep this garbage recycling center here, just because of the ferry depot. I feel like, not the depot, just the ferry pier, the ferry stop. I feel like this building will produce garbage, and so if it's not connected to, if there's no garbage access connected to the road, then it'll pile up and people will complain. So I am just keeping it here, and plus it kind of makes sense to have like some kind of garbage center here, so that assumingly they would throw it on a barge or on a ferry or something and ship it across the bay to the mainland anyway. So having a central place for it, not unrealistic in my opinion. So yeah, I'm cool with that. But yeah, I added a few little piers as well, a little attraction here, and yeah, it's still not looking too bad. I like these the modern look of these buildings, and it's looking pretty good so far. So next thing is this the break wall. I had another comment on the last video saying, hey, why don't you take the break wall and make it into a park, and so people actually go to it, and it won't just be this random pathway at the edge of your city that nobody walks on. And sure enough, genius suggestion. So thank you very much. People are walking. Added a couple little piers on here just as some attractions, and yeah, it's very cool to see people actually using this walkway and bringing some life to this part of the city. So I'm really happy with that. And speaking of parks in general, there are tons of park assets that I didn't even know that I had, including these Railroads of Japan parks that came with these little plazas that came with the Railroad DLC or Creator Content Pack. Very useful for this little area. And we have our little park cafe, and then some of these parks like this one. And if we shoot over here, which I actually finished up this area, I'll explain in a minute. And these sidewalk cafes here, these are all part of the hotels and retreats DLC. So being able to use all of these, and this building is cool because the sidewalk cafe has different variations, so you can actually change the appearance of the building. And so that's what I've done here, is I've actually used all three buildings, so we have some nice little destinations for people to go. And you know, along this water. Oh, I don't know what just happened there. Oh, I think we lost the game. Yep, I think we just did. Oh, that's a shame. 2040. Yeah, we just did. Oh well. Okay. Anyway, sorry for our varsity team's performance, but that's okay. But yeah, so that added some life to this waterfront area here, which is really, really awesome. Let me just connect this guy up real quick here. Sorry about that. Much better. Okay. And then I had this museum sitting here for a while, and I decided it was off because I didn't have, you know, any kind of reason to use it. But now I turned it back on, and we have a nice little museum. A parking garage, that's not as nice, but I feel like we needed some parking because it upgraded a lot of the roads here to where they don't have parking on the road. So then, you know, with this being a pretty dense area, I figured that people will want to park. We'll need to park here. So very smart choice in my mind. And this cool, I just wanted to put these down because I saw that I had them. The Railroads of Japan pack also had these like parking lots, these paid parking lots. And I thought that was a really cool little thing that I found in my you know, in my asset collection that I didn't even know that I had. So yeah, there's like tons of assets that came with all of these little mini DLCs and content creator packs that are really, you know, yeah, take a look if you have any of those. There, you'll surprise yourself. So now, last thing before we start, the ferries. Like, oh my god, there are so many passengers on some of these lines. Like, look at, I think it's let's take a look at just this downtown coastline. 1,000 people waiting at this little stop here. Like, oh my goodness, we are in desperate need of additional forms of public transport, because right now this is the only way besides driving that people can get from here to anywhere over here. Well, I take that back. They can actually take the train, but not really though, because there's actually no train stop here. So yeah, that's pretty much the only way. They'd have to take it, you know, to here and take this train or something. But yeah, so we definitely got to get some buses out here, and you know, some long distance bus routes or something. I think that'll really help. But yeah, I just drastically increased the number of ferries on like all the lines because they all needed it, and they're still just so overpopulated. But you know, that's what you get when you only got kind of one way to get around these bigger, you know, these longer distances. So we'll work on that. That's the whole point of this series. I'm not worried. It's just kind of funny. I didn't expect 1,000 people to be using my ferry lines, and we got quite a backup here at the port. I mean, yeah, even I think this line here's got tons. 1,400 people, almost 1,500 people trying to get from this to the island or to the other side of the bay. I mean, that is just insane. So we'll make it work. We need some way to get across this highway for people to go, you know, to and stuff. But that's what hopefully the buses will be for. But anyway, today we're actually not going to do buses. I'm saving those kind of for probably the next form after this. I think it makes the most sense. But today what we're going to do is we are going to put down some trams. And I like trams. I know some people aren't a fan because they're noisy and kind of slow, but I think that they're kind of cool, and I like to put them, you know, in my more dense areas, like in my downtowns and stuff. I think they're a great way to get people around. They can kind of do, they're higher capacity than buses, but you can kind of build them like buses in a way, in the sense that you can have, you know, a few more stops than say a train or a metro or a monorail. So yeah, it's great for getting people kind of around those closer proximity areas, and noise. I won't really worry about noise in these downtown areas anyway. They're already pretty noisy, so it's not like I'm gonna bring them into the suburbs. And so for this, I think I'm gonna stick the trams mainly around this part here, just kind of like the downtowns. I'm not really gonna go anywhere. I guess this would be south, north. That's north. Yeah, so south of that, I'm not gonna do any of the trams there. I think that's just gonna be, you know, we're gonna rely on buses and everything and the trains for that, because I don't like trams going through the suburbs. But yeah, as far as this goes, we're definitely gonna have some tram lines. Maybe that's just so long. I was gonna say maybe I can do something goofy and have like a tram line that goes across the bay, like on this bridge, but I feel like that's kind of pushing it. I don't know. We'll see. That's a little ambitious, and I don't really think they would have kind of a tram that would go that far. That's a pretty long distance away. So I don't know. We'll see. But for now, we'll at least keep it to the downtown area. And maybe we can bump up the speed limit on the tram route though, or something, and do something like that. I don't know. We'll explore that later, maybe as something goofy, but probably not the most realistic. So I'm gonna stay away from that for now. But to get started, let's just again, I kind of know where I'm gonna put them. I kind of already have some of these tram tracks laid out with the monorail tracks on them, so I think I know generally where I want the trams to go, and I know that typically. So the only tram that I've actually ever really been on was when I studied abroad in Sevilla, Spain, and they had one tram line that went like down one road through the downtown, and that was it. It was a point to point, and it was one line. There were like, you know, maybe like 10 stops or something. It was very, very small. I'm not entirely sure. I should have probably done some more research before I started to build this, but I'm not typically sure if trams tend to go point to point or if they're can be built more in loops. This game doesn't do a great job with point-to-point public transit, especially with, I mean, besides, you know, trains and such where you can put kind of just like one line, but in terms of buses and trams that typically might be a little more point-to-point, the game tends to expect you to design them in more of a loop fashion. So I think for trams though, I kind of like them in a little bit of a loop. I think, you know, a loop to a point, no pun intended, but I mean, like, you know, sort of have a destination, like a point-to-point destination, and then just kind of have like a little loop around those destinations. So for example, like something like, you know, a loop here, and then it would go across this bridge, and then have like a loop here, and then kind of come back, something like that. And obviously we're gonna not just have one tram line in the city. I think we're gonna have probably at least 3. I can envision right now, I think, with what I want to do with these. And I don't want to, you know, take up all the roads with trams, but I do have some ideas here. So I say let's jump right in and just get building, because we're already the clock is ticking. So let's go. All right. So the first thing we need to do is build a tram depot, or depot for you, all my folks from England. But yeah, they're noisy and they kind of suck. And typically I like to put them around industrial areas, but since we don't really have, I mean, I guess there's this whole area here, but I don't want to drag a tram line all the way along, you know, this road and this road, since we're kind of close to the suburbs. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put it by the stadium here. Hopefully it'll fit. Of course not. Of course it's going to be too big, because nothing can just ever work out in our favor. Well, I actually think, you know what, actually we can put it there. I'm just gonna have to do this. So just give me 1 second here. I was gonna say, if it's not gonna fit, we're gonna make it fit. So I'm not super worried. That is gonna work right there, I think. So we'll have a little bit of a keep our one-way road going, our little loop going like that. And this part, I think we'll just continue this asymmetrical road here. Well, actually, you know what? We can't do that because we need to actually put the tram line there. Oh man, sometimes I just do not think about what I'm actually doing, but it's fine. Okay, so we'll figure out a way to put that. But yeah, so I think in terms of where I want the tram lines to go, let's start with the downtown line. So what I want to do first is drag out sort of a loop from so I want to kind of drag out a loop around that'll connect up to here, but I kind of want it to go along this way and then have a second loop kind of around these main roads here. So I think this is going to be a tram loop, and then it'll kind of hook up this way, so that way we can have one line that sort of sits in the downtown, and then we can have another line that kind of takes us out to this other half of the city. So yeah, so let's go ahead and keep the 4-lane or the 6-lane road. This is a pretty busy area, so I think I'm gonna do something like maybe like this. I typically like to try to keep my tram tracks on the right if I can, because that way we don't need people to cross the street when they get on and off the stops. They could just, you know, get right on the sidewalk, and I think that actually makes, you know, a bit of a difference sometimes. So let's go ahead and do something like that, at least for this main road here. I don't want to put people in the middle. And I know the lack of a median here isn't great because this is pretty much like an arterial road through here. But you know what? It is kind of what it is. We just don't really have a better option. And I know keeping it in the middle here, I guess, is not going to be that bad because this is not a super high volume road. I don't ever see a lot of congestion here, so I think this will be fine to have it stick with the traffic right here, although it does have to cross here, but this will probably be a stoplight anyway, so it's fine. But yeah, and then for this part though, I might actually keep it, bring it back to the side, just because I think it's a little more efficient. And we'll actually keep this, we'll keep this a 4-lane road here for now. I don't see a reason to have it be a 6-lane again, just because it doesn't have, you know, that much traffic right now, and we can always upgrade later if needed. And of course, now that I did it there, I realized I could have had a nice little tree line street by these residential buildings right along the river too. So yeah, made that change. And now moving on, we have our loop here, which will work out just fine. And now we have it connected to this tram road here. And so with this one, I'm actually thinking about, since we can't go underneath the monorail stations, I think we're gonna have to go kind of do a nifty loop around here. And this might be a little bit where it might get a little tricky with you know, trying to link everything up, but I think I have a pretty good idea of what I want to do. So we do need a route to the stadium, definitely. So we're gonna probably just take this road here and turn this into a tram friendly road and just have it link up with the stadium, and that'll bring us into our tram depot as well. And then we can have it, you know, kind of come loop around here maybe instead of actually going on this avenue. I'd like to keep this pretty tram free, but then we can have it come around this way here and kind of link up around here and do a nice loop back through, maybe through here instead of this road. I kind of like this road the way it is without, you know, without any trams here. But we can loop through here and then actually come through this pedestrian area to link back up. I think that would be a great way to get some access in here. And I know that there are pedestrian friendly tram roads, tram only roads. So let's go ahead and start laying that out. All right, so that portion of the line is complete, taking us to the stadium, so we can have a nice line going through there. And now, and I think that might be one of the lines that we have will probably be some sort of express route from downtown station straight across here, straight up to the stadium, and, you know, maybe with a couple stops in between. But essentially, you know, this is kind of going to be like its own line, because I'm sure a lot of people are going to want to come into the city here to get to a game. So that'll be a great way to get people there more effectively than by just driving. So now let's go ahead and finish up another one of the loops here, and we can probably start making some stops pretty soon. All right, and so you notice that this was actually it was a 6-lane road coming in, so I kept it a 6-lane road here. But this was actually a 4-lane road, and I decided to just upgrade it, you know, to the 6 just to keep the tram on the right side. And since this is a pretty main road, you know, if there aren't a lot of cars, that's fine. But at least we have the space, and we can keep the trams on the outside. This, you know, I sometimes I like the median a little bit. I mean, I know it's not the best for the tram line, but again, since this isn't a super busy road, I don't think people crossing the street won't be a huge issue, and there are, you know, plenty of stoplights on this road, or at least there will be if I add them, but if I deleted them. But nonetheless, this will be a good road to have the median in. And then here we actually won't really need to worry about cars, because we're going to round this out and just finish it up through this pedestrian area here. noticed that I just did here, I've been trying to add a lot of bike lanes around this area. I feel like, you know, with this being kind of along the coast, there's a lot of, we got the pedestrian area here, you know, there's a very big possibility, and it's also pretty dense. There's a possibility that people might not own a lot of cars. So having a lot of bike infrastructure around here will really, really help reduce traffic in this area. And, you know, people can actually take their bike all the way along the coast. They can hit some pretty big destinations. You know, you can go from the pedestrian area to the markets and such, to the museum along the coast here, all the way to the stadium. You can actually get there via bike. And I should probably, you know, add something here too, but we kind of need this main road here, but at least people can kind of get on the sidewalk here. There's a little bit more room and just cross over. That wouldn't be too terrible, given that, you know, you can take your bike pretty much all the way up to there. So yeah, I like to incorporate a little bit of bike infrastructure where I can. I think it definitely helps, you know, moving people through your city and such. So I like to do that whenever possible, and I think I might add a little bit more also around where I can. But I wanted to get some of these transit networks laid out first, so I know which roads I can actually, you know, convert to bike networks. But yeah, let's go ahead and finish this up. Sorry for the distraction. So by doing this, I'm not quite sure if this bus lane, from the looks of it, I don't think I can actually have buses on the tram tracks. So I might have to do a little bit something different here with this bus only route. Even if we even need it, I might just have a very small loop here instead of actually having it go all the way through here. So let me go ahead and change this up a little bit and kind of make some adjustments here real quick. Yeah, I think that'll work out a little bit better. That way people can just kind of get off the main road. The bus can get off the main road, drop people off in here, and then, you know, I'm sure this will work. And I know buses can drive on the bus only lane, so yeah, that should solve that problem. But yeah, I think I'm actually pretty happy with how this is laid out right now. You know, we have a nice way to get people from the downtown, and then we're going to take them to the stadium, and then we can get them, you know, around this area pretty effectively, and then all of this will be connected via bus. And what I like about some of this line here is that it actually kind of falls right between the monorail, so we can have people, you know, a stop close to here. People can get on this monorail. Same with this stop here, right by the school, right by the monorail. Very, you know, good area for a lot of access for public transport. Same with this area here, you know, we can have them get off here, and then there's a metro line right over here too. So this will be a really good spot for people to make that transition, just a very short walk away. And yeah, and I'm not sure yet with what I want to do about this side of the river. As it stands right now, I don't really want to bring the trams over here just because I don't really know where I would put them. You know, I have a lot of these one-way roads here. There's, you know, we have the elevated rail, the elevated metro line, and I don't really think we need it, to be honest, because this line is pretty you know, gets pretty good coverage, and people can kind of walk between these as y'all have pointed out. You're absolutely right. So I don't really see a big need to put any here, especially since we have, you know, this line that kind of goes around this way already. So yeah, I'm probably just going to leave this here for now, and we can, you know, connect everything with buses and stuff at a later date. But yeah, let's go ahead now and actually make our lines. All right, so the first line that I want to do is just this stadium line. And just a little tip, do not, it is a little bit better to put your tram stops, you know, close to an intersection in the direction of travel. So what I'm saying by that is, you know, if I put it here, right, and I have, let's say this is a road, then when the tram stops, it'll block this intersection. So we don't want to do that. So we want to put it before any intersections in the direction of travel. Yeah, see, for example, here instead of here, because then it'll probably block this intersection when people are trying to get on. So following that rule, we're going to go ahead and put another one. Probably people can walk there. We'll put one by this building. And then over the bridge, probably not going to put anything here. Definitely by the school. That'll be a really, really handy stop there. And then I think from here people can, we could put one more by this residential area if people are a little bit lazy, don't want to walk. Actually, that's pretty close. We could just go all the way to the stadium. that's not a bad route at all. So this one we'll just bring straight back because I don't really want a ton of stops along that line. And I almost forgot. Oh man, I need to make some kind of loop around here so that people can get back, that the tram can get back here without having to go all the way around. Yeah, I did not want to do that. All right, we're gonna have to do a little bit of redesign here. Let me think about this and figure out the best way to do this here. All right, so I think that should solve our issue for now. So let's just go ahead and finish up this line. Beautiful, that will work perfectly. All right, cool. So now that we have that, now we can do another line that kind of runs around just this downtown area here. Yeah, see, and that's the only issue with not having your lines go to a point, is because then you can't really use both sides of the tram track. So another way around that too is just kind of having the same line just go a different way. So we're gonna use that little trick here. All right, now we can have trams going in both directions, so that will work out better. And the last line that I want to do is just the big loop around this other area here. So we're going to have it get... I don't know if I want it to go to the stadium or not. Let me think about that for a minute. But what I do know for sure, I want it to go through this pedestrian area. So let's go ahead and at least start that. Yes, I know there are going to be a lot of trams kind of on this route, right? This little stretch of road right here going to the stadium. But I think that'll be okay since it is a high volume area. And I don't anticipate there being, I mean, I'm sure there will be quite a bit of traffic, but you know, nothing that, we can't handle. So I do have a 4-lane road here, and with the trams only taking up the middle lanes, I think it should be fine. So we'll call that, you know, okay for now with the lines. And let's go ahead and set some names of the lines and get the actual vehicles, you know, which kind of vehicles we want. All right, so now we have these lines in place and actually see which one is which. And yeah, just I'm actually pretty happy with how these kind of turned out, where they're going. You know, we got a nice access to the downtown here. We have nice access to some other major stops. This metro line here, you know, people can kind of get off here and walk there, or here and walk there. You know, it's not too bad. I know these might be a little close, but like, so what? It's fine, especially since this stop is actually in line with this stop, so people can actually switch lines here if needed. And then yeah, all of these going around here, we have some nice areas. I know we got the, you know, the metro here, we got the metro here, we have the monorail here and the metro here actually. So this is a really good spot for a couple of those, and then they can go to the pedestrian area pretty easily. So I'm happy with that. And let's just go ahead and set some vehicles real quick, and then we'll be done. So with these, this one I think is going to be a little more high capacity, just because it's going to be going to a pretty dense area. I'm thinking maybe like I kind of like these old style ones for some of the areas, like this one here. I think that looks pretty cool. But for this one, I think I'm gonna go with this 132 capacity one. It's looking pretty sleek. I like that a lot. All right, and that's that. So let's go ahead and see some of these guys roll out of the station here, and I'm just gonna let the game run for a little bit and see if these lines are actually working and see if people are actually taking them. And yeah, this one's kind of cool. This old school one. We got some little more modern ones that are pretty long, you know. But I figure we're gonna have quite a few people using some of these. So let's actually go ahead and just I'll keep an eye on oh, 7. No, we do not need 7. No way. Bring that down. Start with 5. Call it a day. I'm going to adjust this as we see fit. So yeah, just going to let the game run, and I'll check back in real quick before the end of the episode, see how we're doing. All right. And so been letting the game run for a little bit, and it looks like our tram network is getting I'll say a moderate amount of use. Not super packed. I had to reduce the number of vehicles for some of the lines just because there were not as many people using it. So I thought, you know, in the best budget interest of the city, it'd be best to only kind of, you know, supply what the people actually need, and don't go overboard with that. So yeah, so everything is working pretty well. I did actually decide to change this road here to just a tram only road after this school, because these building, you know, this parking lot and the school still needed road access. But after this intersection, you know, it was kind of, the cars were kind of getting backed up. It was a little weird. Plus we have this big intersection here. So I just figured it'd be better to just have the trams run along here. And I think it's working quite well. I like it a lot. People still have plenty of access to this neighborhood via this main road here. So should not be an issue from that perspective. And yeah, just, you know, a little recap. We do have, it says 251 people per week. And as you can see, just some of the lines, downtown stadium's pretty, you know, it's not super busy, but a reasonable amount of people. Probably don't need these high capacity trams, but I'm going to keep them for now just because I kind of like the way they look. No big deal. But yeah, all the other lines are doing about the same. Nothing is super crowded. I think there was one line that was a little bit busier. I think it was actually one of the Belmont lines. Definitely not that one. Yeah, I forget which one it was. Oh, actually, it was this stop right here. I think on one of the lines was pretty crowded. There were quite a few people needing to get on and off there. But yeah, besides that, everything's working pretty well. Just another little form of public transport for people to use, keep people around the downtown area a little bit easier, especially from this big station over here. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with how everything turned out. I think in the next episode, we will take a look at one of the kinds of buses. I'm not sure exactly which one yet. I kind of forgot that I have to use trolley buses as well. So I have an interesting idea for where I kind of want to put some of those. But for now, this will be just perfect. So hope you guys enjoyed the episode. I definitely enjoyed making it. This was a lot of fun. I love using trams. I think they're pretty cool. So always happy to put them in my city, and hopefully they'll get more use as, you know, the population grows and people need to travel. But yeah, for the time being, hope you all have a great rest of your week, and I will see all of you guys in the next video. Peace.